All right, hello, and welcome back to this special episode of Books and Bookshelves. Basically, a recap of what we've learned about the Count of Monte Cristo and just refreshing you on the plot line in case you don't get lost.
Yeah, because we don't want to leave anyone behind. So this is kind of like episode 4.5, so we're
Pretty
recapping
much,
what we did over the last 4 episodes.
Like a half episode.
Yeah. All right, so let's dive right in. So when we started the book, the date is February 24th, 1815, and we see a trading ship called the Pharaon sailing into the French city of Marseille. So aboard this ship is the highly favored first mate, Edmond Dantes, and Dantes is approximately 19 years old. His birthday would be in 1796 or so, for the geeks out there.
Yeah.
So even before the vessel puts in, the merchant owner, whose name is Monsieur Morel, he comes on board and speaks to Dantes about the death of the ship's captain at sea. So the captain died and Dantes took over because he was first mate.
Okay.
And about a package that the captain gave to Dantes to deliver on the Isle of Elba, which is the place where the exiled Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte is exiled currently. And they talk about how Dantes actually did that, but they don't talk about a letter that Dantes received on the Isle of Elba to be delivered to a address in Paris.
Mm-hmm.
So the existence of the letter is revealed to Monsieur Morel by the ship's purser, accountant, handled the goods on the ship, the cargo.
The money.
Yeah. So this guy's name was Danglars, and he tells Monsieur Morel, that is, about this letter.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is clear that Danglars does not like Dantes and is jealous of him, not least because Monsieur Morel is probably going to promote Dantes to the rank of captain on board the Pharaon.
Yeah, he does not like that.
No.
Yeah, so Dantes, he gets to the island. He goes and he sees his father. It's
Not the
joyful
island.
reunion.
Not the island.
The city.
Yeah.
Yeah, he goes to the city. Sees his dad. That's a happy reunion there. He meets his neighbor. Who is Gaspard Caderousse. You always gotta say it like that. Gaspard. Yeah. Caderousse. Who Dantes doesn't really like, because he's been like robbing his dad, kinda, pretty much, basically. And then after that, he goes and he sees Mercedes, another joyful reunion.
Yeah,
really
that's his
happy.
lover.
Hugs all around, and finds her cousin there as well, Fernand, who's been trying to like woo her their whole time. It's like, man, I really want you to marry me, and she's like, yeah, no, I don't want to. Dantes is her fiance at this point.
Yep.
He asked her to marry him. She's like, oh yes, I'd love to. They get all happy, and Fernand's like, this is too happy, I'm gonna leave. So he goes and he finds Danglars and Caderousse, and they're sitting outside the bar. Yeah, and they're just drinking and having a time. He sits down with them, and him and Danglars start talking about this letter. Caderousse is kind of in a drunken haze, kind of like, whoa, what's happening, guys? Why are you doing this? And so Danglars he was kind of tricky in this one.
Like, it said in the book. It's in the book that he had an ink pot for a heart.
Yeah, he was kind of divisive in this. He like plans this letter with this guy, and then he's like, "Wow, but this is just a joke." And Fernand's like, "Oh yeah, totally." Yeah, writes the letter out and sends it to Paris, and the letter is convicting Dantes being a Bonapartist.
Yeah, because he has that letter that was given to him on Elba. So Danglars writes it out and then pretends to throw it away, but then Fernand goes and picks it up and delivers it.
He like crumples
this
it up
accusation
in
letter
front of him and then puts it to the side just so that he'll find it and deliver it.
So, by the way, I don't think that Dantes actually asked Mercedes to marry him.
Oh,
when they met. They had their betrothal feast like several days after, the next day or something. And it's actually their wedding feast. They announced that it's actually going to be their wedding feast,
right?
Because they're going to get married that afternoon. It's a surprise for everybody.
That makes sense.
Because Dantes has to go to Paris on business for a few days. So remember the letter that he has.
Mm-hmm.
So in the middle of the feast, police arrive and arrest Dantes for being a Bonapartist agent.
That part was pretty sad.
Yeah, because like people didn't like Bonaparte then. The government was against. Because they were afraid that he was going to try to come back from Elba and retake France.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and he did.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in just a second.
I don't think that's mentioned in the book, right?
It is.
Yeah.
There's like several chapters.
I wasn't sure. Okay. So Dantes is taken from his betrothal feast, and he's taken to questioning to this guy. He's like a prosecutor, but like not nowadays prosecutor, because
Yeah, it's a little
Back
different.
then, the prosecutor was like pretty more involved. He had more say in the matter.
Yeah, he
wasn't
decided
trying
what
to
happened.
convince a judge per se. He was more everybody else.
His name
Yeah.
was Monsieur de Villefort. Yeah, Villefort.
I'm gonna let you pronounce that one.
Okay.
I always say it wrong. So Dantes willingly tells him everything he knows because he doesn't really know much, anyways, and he hands over the letter too. And all is going pretty well with this whole thing. Villefort, he seems like he's just a chill dude. He tells Dantes that, yeah, he'll release him. He doesn't really have anything against him. But then he reads the letter and he sees who it's addressed to, and it's Noirtier, his father, and he's like,
yeah. So Villefort's father is a
What?
Bonapartist agent in Paris, and Villefort is a royalist. He's with the current government. His father is with the previous government.
yeah.
So that's makes for some awkward Thanksgiving.
Yeah, so Villefort's father is the person that Dantes is delivering this letter to, and he's like, "Oh no, this is not good." So then he changes his mind, but he doesn't tell Dantes. Dantes is still up to this point. He still thinks that he's just innocent. He's going to be set free after this.
Mhm.
Doesn't really see anything devious in Villefort's whole thing, and so he simply was just on an extension of the captain's last wishes,
Mhm.
at least for our point of view. It seems like.
Yeah, I don't
He's
think
just-
he was not a Bonapartist agent for real. He was
Yeah,
he was
no.
just doing what he was told pretty much, and he was
Yeah, he
doing
was
the
just
captain's
trying to-
last wishes.
Yeah,
Yeah. So then Villefort throws him in jail. He throws him in prison, which is he puts him in the Chateau d'If, which is a nearby political prison.
yeah. Real place too.
Huh?
It's a real place.
Yeah,
too.
it's a real place. You can go visit it in Paris. Not Paris, France.
Yeah,
It's actually in
Basically the same
Versailles.
thing.
They're close to it.
Yeah.
So Villefort, he goes to Paris and he gains an audience with the king and tells him what the letter told him, namely that Napoleon is planning an assault on France. So someone comes then and says that Napoleon has already come to France. He set sail from Elba and is on France, and he's marching on Paris. So this follows the
Dang.
100 days
Yeah.
where Bonaparte regains power only to lose it once more. You can go read about that more somewhere else if you want. The book doesn't
Yeah.
dwell on that. It talks about it a little bit. But pretty much this catapults Villefort into favor with the king.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all that this is saying, these
Yes.
several
Okay,
chapters.
so while all this is happening, Dante's still in the Chateau d'If, just kind of hanging out. He's in numerous stages of anger and confusion and grief and stuff. But then he lands upon a solution that someone falsely accused put him here. He falsely accused him and threw him in jail. And
Yeah,
he's
which
like,
is correct.
Dang. So then he decides, you know what? I want to commit suicide by starvation. So he just starts throwing his food out the window. Just like, I don't really need that anymore. I'm just going to kind of gradually decease
Yeah.
to stop existing. But before he has got to that stage where he's like about to die, he hears the noise of a fellow prisoner digging into his cell. And he's like, what is that? And it turns out it's this guy. He's like a priest kind of, yeah.
Mhm.
And he is
His name is Faria.
Yeah. And so he meets Faria, who was trying to tunnel out, trying to get to freedom, and accidentally tunnels into his cell, which was kind of funny. So he was like, oh, man, that's like 60 years or whatever of my life just tunneling. And I tunnel into this other guy's cell. That's not freedom. That's sad. But then they become pretty close. Faria becomes like his mentor, kind of. It gives him a bunch of advice, tells him who it is that he should be annoyed at.
Yeah, so
like,
Faria
breaks it
actually
down for him.
uses logic and figures out
Yeah.
the three people who are responsible for putting Dantes in jail. And he also educated Dantes because Faria was brilliant. So he
Yeah.
gave Dantes like a 1-year education, taught him all he knew.
Yeah, the relationship kind of becomes more like a father and son
Mhm.
relationship while they're in prison. It's really cool. I really like that. So he tells him that Danglars and Ferdinand and Villefort are the ones that are pretty much the only ones to blame for his imprisonment. Dantes is like, all right, I'm going to vow to get some revenge on those guys.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like pretty much the central theme of the book. The
Mhm.
rest of it actually
Yeah.
is his
So going forward, it's
vow.
pretty much just revenge. You'll
Yeah.
see some other kind of smaller themes, but it's just revenge is what he is
Yeah.
living for at this point after this.
Yeah.
After he escapes, because he's going to escape. But
Right.
before he
Obviously.
escapes, they begin another escape operation. They dig another tunnel.
Mhm.
But before they can complete it and get out, Faria has a
Faria.
has a seizure, and this was a condition that he knew about beforehand, and he had some medical advice on it at one point,
Yeah.
and so he knows that the condition that causes these seizures, he knows of this, and that another one will kill him. So yeah, he knows that another one's probably going to come that is going to kill him then.
No.
So he tells Dantes,
Mhm.
then once he knows that he's going to die, probably, he tells Dantes of a vast fortune that he knows of that is hidden, buried actually, on the
Ooh.
small island of Monte Cristo in the Mediterranean.
Hey, I know that name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after he tells Dantes the story of the treasure, it's a long story. It's pretty cool. So
Kind of changes Dante's viewpoint a little bit. He's less on vengeance now, and he's more on that
well,
treasure.
kind of for a while, he's going to use
Yeah.
the treasure to get the vengeance. But anyway, so he has his third seizure or
Mhm.
attack, and he dies.
Oh,
So Dantes, overcome with grief, but sensing an opportunity, replaces Faria's body with himself in the body
yeah.
bag that the jailers have put the dead priest into.
And they just kind of that's what gets me a little confused sometimes is that they just kind of put him in the thing and then leave him. They're
Well,
just like, yeah.
They don't know that anyone else has access to his cell.
Oh, okay. So that makes more sense.
Yeah, they didn't know that.
They didn't know the whole tunnel thing.
No.
Right.
And so they take Dantes out, and so Dantes is hoping that they're going to like bury him in the ground, and then he can dig his way out. But no,
Right. Yeah.
they throw their dead in the sea, and so he, yeah, he
Oh,
is
no.
he is thrown into the ocean, actually the sea. It's the Mediterranean, not the ocean.
Yeah.
He's thrown into the sea, but he has a knife with him, and he manages to cut his way to freedom.
Yeah, but he gives himself away by screaming as he's about to hit the water.
Yeah,
He's
he does do that because he
starts-
didn't quite think
Yeah.
that one through. So they guessed that there was a
He didn't
prisoner
see that coming.
an alive prisoner inside the bag, but they guessed that he sank to the bottom because he had a
Yeah.
cannonball at his feet.
Yeah, they actually didn't. It kind of explains that later that when he goes back, it kind of wrote his name and it says like deceased or something under it, right? When he goes back as the accountant.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
They do
It
talk
kind of
about that a
says he's
little bit.
not there anymore.
They figured that he was dead by that probably.
Yeah. that
So
makes sense.
he manages to swim to a small island, and he is picked up by a smuggling craft,
Mhm.
which apparently there were a lot of smugglers in this area at this
Yeah.
time.
Ton of
So he
guys.
demonstrates his superb ability to sail. He's a very, very good sailor, apparently. And they sign him onto the crew for 3 months.
Yeah.
They want him to sign for more, but he's like, nah, I want
the
to be
captain's
free.
like, please, oh please,
Yeah.
please, oh please, will you sail for us longer?
Yeah. So he wants to be free after 3 months so he can get a
Yeah.
hold of his treasure as soon as possible and be free to use it.
Wants to get that moolah.
So the date when he gets out of prison is February 28th, 1829. Actually, this might have been the day after he got out of prison. So it was 14 years ago to the day when he was arrested and his freedom was ended.
Wow.
He is now approximately 33 years old. So when he gets out of
Okay,
prison, he's
wow.
33.
Yeah. So he manages to get to the island. He's really happy about that.
Of
He
Monte
gets
Cristo. He gets
to-
to Monte Cristo.
Yeah, right. To the Monte Cristo island, and there is this big, vast fortune that he has to find. He's like, all right, I'm going to find it.
And he finds it. He does.
He gets this map, and it's X marks the spot. He goes to the X and marks the spot. Finds
No,
this
there's
thing,
not a
and
map.
it's-
There's just written instructions.
Right.
Remember that Faria gave him?
Yeah, basically a map.
Kind of. Word
And
map.
It's like a word map.
So
like
yeah,
a treasure
he gets it and he gets the
thing.
treasure.
Yeah, there's these weird like rooms that he has to go through. It's like
Mhm.
an escape room kind of and stuff. And so he gets the treasure. He's really happy about that. Again, he brings this diamond to Catarus. Surprisingly, he goes as like a priest to this back to Marseille.
Well, no, so
Marseille.
yeah, he goes on the fact finding tour pretty much.
Right? Yeah.
He goes back. He sends some people back to Marseille to look for news, and then he dresses up as a priest, and he goes and visits Catarus, who is in a different place now.
Right.
He's
yeah.
Catarus is an innkeeper, a failing innkeeper. He's not really very good at it, and he bribes him with a diamond to tell him the story
Uh-huh.
again, so that he can figure out whether Faria's
Yeah.
what Faria said was
Innocent.
true. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
And-
it was right. by the
Yeah.
way.
So it turns out Faria is innocent, and he's like, "All right, you can have
Faria
the
is
diamond."
innocent. Faria is not innocent. You're not talking
No,
about Faria.
sorry, Catarus is innocent. It turns out Catarus is innocent, and he's like, "All right, yeah, you can have the diamond. I'm gonna go somewhere else now." So then he leaves, and he also, while he's there, he learned what happened to his father
Mhm.
and his fiance. Turns out, father died, and his fiance got married
To Fernand.
to Fernand.
Yeah.
But it turns out because he's a soldier, so she didn't really have much choice in that
Well,
one.
yeah. So it turns out Fernand is a soldier who's turned politician. Danglars is a fabulously rich banker, and Villefort is a prosecutor. And all three of these people are now in Paris.
Yeah.
They're like in the upper echelons
You know what's
of
funny? The
of
three
Parisian
people
society.
that put him in jail are the ones that are doing the best. And then Caderousse, the one who didn't have anything to do with it, is failing
Yeah.
miserably.
He
at
talks
being
about that. He's pretty bitter
Yeah.
about that.
So he gets bribed with diamond that was supposedly going to be broken to pieces, right? That diamond, he was like, he wanted me to split this up and give it to the
Yeah,
different people,
yeah. Split the
but
money
I'm
up.
just going to give it to you because,
So yeah, he gave the whole diamond to Caderousse.
yeah.
So now that he's done with that, he knows the whole story. Now Dantes turns his attention to his former employer, Monsieur Morel, and his family.
Yeah. I like that
So
part.
this is a pretty good part of the book. So
Yeah.
the Morels have fallen on extremely hard times,
Mhm.
and Monsieur Morel is on the cusp of committing honorable suicide
Yeah.
for not being able to honor his signature. So he was a merchant of some kind, and people invested with him. That's all I
Right,
know.
yeah.
So he had money and signatures that he
I
had to
think-
pay back.
Is he still running the ship business?
Yeah, he's in the
Yeah.
ship business, but all of his ships have been sunk except for one, except for the Pharaon. The
Oh,
Pharaon
right.
is on
It
a
just never
voyage,
came
and
back.
it's a month late. It's like it's
Everybody's
been-
worried about it.
Yeah,
They all thought,
Everyone's really
Yeah.
worried, and that's the last chance.
It
If
really
it doesn't come back, then
yeah.
it's over for them
So
financially.
then the
at least.
Englishman tells the daughter, like, "Hey, look out for this letter that's gonna get to you." from
Yes.
this
So yeah.
guy
So,
named
so this
Sinbad."
guy shows up. This guy shows up, and
Random guy,
this random English guy,
literally
and
titled
he-
"Random English Guy."
kind of.
Like,
So he talks to the family for a little bit, and then he leaves. But he
Yeah.
tells Monsieur Morel's daughter to watch out for a letter from this guy named
Julia.
Sinbad the sailor.
or Julie.
Julie.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So what happens is
He leaves.
they get the
then-
news that the
yeah.
Pharaon actually sunk at sea. So like Monsieur Morel's about to commit suicide, but then
Terrible.
Julie gets this letter, gets this news from Sinbad the sailor.
Yay.
She follows the instructions and she receives a purse with a diamond
not?
inside it.
Whoa.
Yeah, so she has a diamond now, and even better,
She
the
gets
Pharaon comes sailing into port.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And
The
she's
same
really happy about that.
the same ship
Yeah.
that was supposed to be sunk at the sea. So I wonder who.
Yeah. And
Who
they
did
were,
that?
And they were pretty. They were pretty. It seemed like they were on really rough times because
Mhm.
she was really happy too because she got a diamond, which means that she'd have enough money to marry the guy that she loved, which was
Mhm. One of the
it was
employees.
like-
one of the
yeah,
employees.
one of the
of the company.
employees. Yeah, so these good deeds, unbeknownst to the Morales, were done by Dantes in his happier stage of his plan.
Yeah.
And so the family is all celebrating and stuff. He leaves Marseille, and as he's leaving, he's like, all right, done with phase one, done with the blessings, done with the happiness, on to the next phase, which is the curses and the sadness and the revenge and the bringing revenge to his enemies.
Oh, fun times.
Kind of, yeah.
All
Putting
right.
it to the government.
So that's about all we have for
Yeah.
these first
Five,
four episodes.
four,
Four episodes.
first
So
four
I hope
episodes.
this is a little clarifying. If
Yeah.
it's not, please let us know, and we can.
It's clarified for me.
yeah.
I kind of forgot what happened for a little bit there.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice to go back over that. I think we'll have another one at episode 8 or something.
Yeah. So we're kind of hoping to do one of these recap episodes, maybe 2 or 3 more, because 2 or 3 more across the
Yeah.
rest of the season, every 4 episodes or so.
Let's see. That would have covered how many chapters?
4.
Just did the 4 episodes?
Yeah. First.
The first 4 episodes would cover what?
Would have been the first. I'm gonna think like 20,
Yeah.
27 or 28 chapters.
It's a lot of
30,
chapters.
I don't know. Yeah.
We still have quite a few to go.
Yep. So we're
It's a very fun
gonna do
journey.
we're gonna do our
Very
best
happy
to
have
finish
you
this in
along
a
with
timely manner and keep it
Yeah.
fun for you guys. All right. Thanks for listening.
it. Remember to comment
Yeah.
on what book you think we should do next after this one.
Oh, do that. Absolutely. All right. See you guys.